Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
The McDonald's snack wrap is back. You brought it back. Ranch snack wrap. Spicy snack wrap. You broke the internet for a snack. Snack wrap is back. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Gatorade is the #1 proven electrolyte blend designed to hydrate better than water. So you can lose more sweat and raise your game. Gatorade, is it in you?
This episode is brought to you by Liquid IV. In heart-pumping moments, you need hydration that can keep up. That's where Liquid IV comes in. Scientifically formulated to quickly replenish electrolytes and fluids lost from your well-earned sweat session. Hydrate your favorite mode of movement with Liquid IV, made with triple the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients. Also available and sugar-free. Tear, pour, live more. Visit liquidiv.com to learn more.
With the Venmo debit card, you can Venmo everything. Your favorite band's merch? You can Venmo this. Or their next show? You can Venmo that. Visit venmo.me/debit to learn more. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. Card may be used everywhere MasterCard is accepted. Venmo purchase restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
AI is moving fast. So fast, it's hard to keep up. In fact, in ServiceNow's latest AI Maturity Index, scores dipped 20% from last year. But that's okay, because AI isn't a sprint. It's a marathon. You may be behind today, but tomorrow you could be a pace setter. Dive into ServiceNow's AI Maturity Index and see how you can innovate as fast as your ambitions. Visit servicenow.com/AI maturity.
Jif peanut butter. It's that jiffing good, it doesn't really need advertising. So instead, enjoy the calming sounds of the ocean. Jif. Ooh, it's that jiffing good. Get your Jif at jif.com.
This episode is brought to you by GM Genuine Parts and AC Delco. Get the most out of your vehicle with GM Genuine Parts and AC Delco original equipment. The only parts designed, engineered, tested, and backed by General Motors. You can find your perfect fit for most makes and models and choose from 3 tiers of parts, including GM OE or gold and silver aftermarket parts. Visit gmparts.com for more information.
Everyone who works at Starbucks, full or part-time, gets stock in our company, simply for being part of our company. That's why we call our employees partners, because when Starbucks succeeds, our people do too. And that success turns into down payments, family vacations, and so much more. At Starbucks, benefits like company stock are just the start. Learn more about how we support partners at starbucks.com/partners.
They say to only bring what you can carry. So with the all-new 2025 Ford Expedition Tremor, bring a lot. Like 3 dirt bikes, a few tents, an entire crew ready to make memories. A panoramic 24-inch display, and the confidence to push your limits. The all-new 2025 Ford Expedition Tremor.
Always consult the owner's manual before off-road driving. Know your terrain and trail difficulty and use appropriate safety gear. Max payload varies based on accessories and vehicle configuration. See label on door jamb for carrying capacity of a specific vehicle. Always properly secure cargo.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
It's summer. Time to enjoy long days, lazy nights, and zero cooking. Because Uber Eats has deals all summer long. So when hunger strikes, don't sweat it. Delicious deals are just a tap away on Uber Eats. Enjoy all your favorite food delivered straight to you. Get Burger King, Subway, Popeyes, and hundreds more local favorites and savor every last bite. Now that sounds like a good summer. Order now on Uber Eats. Terms apply. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
This is the way it feels to move through summer in Lululemon. Iconic Align softness without the front seam. For our smoothest look and feel ever. Summer won't know what hit it. Stretch your limits in the non-stop flexibility of the new Lululemon Align No-Line Pant in select stores and at Lululemon.com.
Have you ever spotted McDonald's hot, crispy fries right as they're being scooped into the carton? And time just stands still. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts.
Dr. Saundra Dalton-Smith, welcome to the conversation today.
Thanks so much for having me.
It is a real pleasure to be with you. You're joining us from Birmingham, Alabama. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about your new book, Being Fully Known, The Joyful Satisfaction of Beholding, Becoming, and Belonging. I love the title. I love the idea of being fully known. I love each of those aspects that you outline in the subtitle. I think this will just be a really fun conversation. As we get started, I wanted to share Saundra's bio with everybody. Dr. Saundra Dalton-Smith is a board-certified internal medicine physician, speaker, and award-winning author. She is an international well-being thought leader featured in numerous media outlets, including Prevention, MSNBC, Women's Day, Fox, Fast Company, Psychology Today, Inc., CNN, Health, and TED.com. She is.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want, like that dream house or ride, is a great feeling. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you save when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Is the author of numerous books, including her best-selling Sacred Rest, Recover Your Life, Renew Your Energy, Restore Your Sanity, including insight on the 7 types of rest needed to optimize your productivity, increase your overall happiness, overcome burnout, and live your best life. And as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about her newest book today, Being Fully Known. Dr. Saundra, anything you would like to share by way of your background, personal context before we dive on in?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I'm a mom also of 2 college-age kids, so just entered the empty nest season of my life. So interesting changes and shifts happening.
Wonderful. I have 2 college-age children of my own. I know that's kind of a strange time. I'm adapting to that myself. Anyways, great to be with you. Why don't we start off? I always love to talk, when I'm speaking with authors, thought leaders, why this book? Why now? You do a lot of different things. So what was it about this topic? Why did you have to get this out to the world?
Yeah, it's a continuation of the book you mentioned, Sacred Rest. We have an assessment called restquiz.com, and we've had over 500,000 people who've determined their rest deficits. And I continue to see this pattern of 3 specific types of rest that people were struggling with. The first was spiritual rest with their purpose and why are they here on earth and those kind of things. The second was emotional rest as it relates to people pleasing and staying within boxes and sometimes staying within roles that no longer serve them. And the third was social rest in that there was a lot of life decisions made off of responsibility and not necessarily off of heart desires and really what people just wanted to do. And so that's what this book goes deeper into. Being Fully Known is going deeper into these 3 types of rest to help people actually put into practice, finding out who they are, what they want, and looking at the ways of breaking free from some of the limiting beliefs that are holding them back.
Yeah, and those limiting beliefs, on the one hand, we might think of that and we just think, well, that's what it means to be an adult, right? Like you kind of set your own wants and desires, you sacrifice for your kids, you sacrifice for, the greater good, for whatever, and you just be an adult, you suck it up, you go to work, you do it, you do the thing, right? I think that's how we're taught, that's how we're raised, that's how society tells us we're supposed to, be adults. Why is that a problem? Why shouldn't we just go through life that way?
Well, to me, that becomes a tomb. If you are no longer growing, if you're not being stretched, if you're not being challenged, you're pretty much emotionally dead. You have nothing that is keeping you wanting to keep living and wanting to provide for people from your gifts and from your talents. And this is where I feel a lot of people are. They're showing up at work every day and they're present, but they are absent of heart. And so they're showing up, they're producing, they're checking the box off, but they're not producing from their highest level of capabilities. They are functionally burned out, but they're still producing. And it gives this lack of joy, which is where the subtitle comes from, this lack of joy and satisfaction, because there's more you're capable of, but you're either physically feeling tired or emotionally or mentally feeling drained. And so you're like, I don't have the energy to even do anything else. And some of that energy is actually poured into when we step into a more full knowledge of the things that drive us, that propel us, that give us that energy.
Yeah. And when I think of the burnout piece, A lot of people show up, they check the box, and they do more than just check the box. They still put a lot of effort in, but that effort, regardless of their best intentions, just isn't as much as they could be giving, right? And it's just not their full potential, regardless of the best intentions they may have, because we're just running on empty. We're just depleted. I'm thinking to when I've had times of burnout, and it's emotional burnout, it's physical burnout. You get frustrated, you get cynical, you get like there's just all these different things that impact the way you perform. And I'm one that I have a strong work ethic. I'm never gonna stop working hard, but is the quality or the level of contribution is good, and I can't deny that it probably isn't. And the way I show up and that I be with other people probably isn't as good, just because of the cynicism or the frustration or those sorts of things, even if my effort is still high and still strong. And so the burnout piece is really important. And so when that joy is gone, when the satisfaction has left you, when you're not feeling fulfilled, and when you're dragging yourself out of bed in the morning, and you're just getting yourself to work, and you're just like, why am I doing this? Why does this even matter? You're not feeling any real connection to what you do anymore. Yes, you can pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You can, whatever analogy you want to use, you can say, I'm adulting, I'm doing the thing, I'm mature, and I'm sucking it up, and I'm sacrificing for whatever. But in the long run, that's not good for the individual. It's not good for the organization. It's really not good for communities or society, because we have all this depleted potential that is untapped, And so if we're really looking at maximizing potential, then the best thing for everybody is to help everybody tap into that potential, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's actually the work that I primarily do now. We own a workplace well-being consulting agency called Restore Assist. And a big part of what we do is work within consulting within organizations, helping them make sustainable employees, because that was my journey. I burned out as a physician. And from the outside, at the time that I burned out, I was actively publishing book. I was in the news, all the things. I had the fixings of success with a life that did not feel successful. I was exhausted all the time. I had no energy for my family, no energy to build healthy relationships. And in the process of that, someone looking in would say, oh, wow, she's helping so many people. But you lose the ability to continue to serve at that level when you're not mindful of what it's doing to you, and you're not building sustainability in the process. It's the reason so many physicians and lawyers and high kind of entrepreneurs and leaders, high performance people who have a great work ethic but have zero rest ethic, is the reason they burn out. Because it's like, and that's my personality. I'm like, as long as I can keep going, I'm going to keep going. Honestly, my thought process was rest is for weak people, and I'm not weak. I don't need rest. I can just keep going, until I started to realize rest is not something that you do after the work is done. Rest and restoration, which is how I teach it, is what you do when you want to do your best work. Those 7 types of rest: physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, social, sensory, and creative. Those are the things that actually make humans sustainable. It's the reason we have, it's called human resources. Resources have to be poured back into, or else they deplenish. And so it's a whole mindset shift that many leaders have to take. And once they see the benefit that you actually are more productive when you have a system for restoration in place, it changes the game.
I love how you phrase that as, rest ethic. I've never thought of it that way. I love the restoration verbiage. I think all that's important. And we all, we talk about the importance of self-care and, all these sorts of things. And all that resonates with me. I've never thought about it as a rest ethic. I have a strong work ethic. Do I have a rest ethic? And it's just as important. I'm like you. I think I tend to just overdo it, and I want to help people, and I want to work hard, and I don't think I would go as far as to say I think resting is a sign of weakness, but I definitely, I feel like this pull to, I have a family and I have like all these responsibilities, and I just know that there's a lot of things I need to be doing or should be doing. My shoulds list is super long, and I just my self-care list is there and I try to get to it, but oftentimes that's the thing that gets sacrificed, right? And I need to remember that rest ethic is just as important as the work ethic. That's a powerful framing. Thank you.
Yeah, I think for myself, it really didn't dawn on me until I burned out that all of this was needed. And then when I started applying it to my patients, I was in clinical practice for over 20 years before I started doing some of the work life integration piece. I started realizing that most of us, when we get to a place where rest is not the thing we do on vacations or just on the weekend, but rest is actually integrated into our process. We don't look at it as having to carve out time for rest, but we're actually intentionally restoring in specific ways as it relates to our personal rest deficits. You start noticing that it's not as hard as we make it out to be, and it doesn't require as much time as we make it out to be. We can actually bring in restorative practices and personal energy management in such a way that it becomes part of our routine. Because I fear sometimes that when we say self-care, people get these visions of like silent retreats and massage therapy, and you got to
Right.
block off an hour for, something elaborate. But self-care is actually can be integrated within your day in such a way that, honestly, being aware of the body ergonomics of your workstation is self-care. And so there's so many different ways to begin this process.
Well, all of that's a really great way to set the foundation for this conversation. And you talked about it at the beginning. This idea of being fully known. You have to really take the time, to understand yourself. Your previous book, Recover Your Life, Renew Your Energy, Restore Your Sanity. This is a carry forward of those ideas. Now we're focusing on being known. Building out your life satisfaction, your joyful satisfaction at work and life and family, everything. But you have to do those three things that you outlined: beholding, becoming, belonging. Let's talk about each of those in turn now. Starting with beholding. So what exactly do you mean by beholding? Let's unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, beholding is seeing goodness all around you and actually being cognitively aware of what's happening. I think this new mindset of kind of mindfulness and being present, I think a lot of us, we are, like we talked about, physically there, but not necessarily mindful or present in our day. And we're definitely not looking for the places of joy or pleasure or those experiences within our day. The more we allow ourselves to reflect on this, and for myself, it's through a faith-based type thought process. So the more I reflect on kind of the goodness of God, so to speak, in people and in the world and in situations, it opens up an opportunity for me to then be able to start recognizing how I can engage with that. And so for someone who doesn't have a faith-based concept, they may see that in causes that they feel drawn to, or they may see spiritual rest in community or in purpose or in ways of showing up and being part of the greater good. And I think the more we can connect to that aspect of it, the deeper it allows us to then be able to see what in our heart is being unmet in those moments. I'll give an example for myself. I love spending time with people, but when you're a doctor, most of the people you're with are sick. So they are not in their best mood, right? When they're in the ER or the ICU, they're scared, they're afraid. I started to be able to see the beauty of transparency. Because in those moments, people are the most transparent they will ever be. It's an opportunity for me to actually have relationship at a level of their vulnerability that takes us deeper into conversations they would not have with other people. And so I think all of us have those type of experiences, those moments where we are given the privilege of something that we're probably overlooking.
Yeah. Connecting more fully in those relationships, being more present with those around us, all of that I think is just really powerful. It's a really good reminder, and it doesn't take a lot. That's the thing that I think really resonates with what you were just saying. We can go on retreats, we can do the big things, and sometimes that's how we think about it. But really, it can come down to just like the simple, little, consistent things that we can do every day that are going to make some of the biggest difference. It really is those little things that in the consistency that matters the most. How,
Yeah.
how about becoming? What is the becoming piece to you?
The becoming is becoming more aware of myself, becoming more aware, asking the questions that open me up, rather than the questions that drive me towards responsibility and only doing what's expected of me. So for I think too often we box ourselves in based on past experiences, based on what people have are expecting us to do. And so with the becoming aspect of it, you are asking deeper questions that require you to explore and have an adventure with yourself. Start allowing yourself even to step into places where you may fail or you may not succeed in the way that you think you would, but you're not viewing it as failure. You're viewing it as an opportunity to learn about yourself, an opportunity to see what the possibilities are. I think whenever we resist because we believe we can't do something well, we're actually resisting learning. And we're a little bit prideful because we don't want to fail, so we're not even going to try. But I find that people who are the most successful are willing to take those steps, and they don't see that step as a failure if it doesn't work out the way they expected. They celebrate that they gave themselves the opportunity. They celebrate their yes to the adventure. And I think that's a mindset shift that a lot of people have to battle with, is that can I do something even if I don't think I can do it well? Can I take a chance on me just to explore what's possible and to become more aware of what's inside of me?
Yes, yes. That awareness of what's inside of you, so important. The willingness to try towards continuous development is scary because it's vulnerability, right? Because anytime we're stretching, anytime we're trying new things, it's not always going to work out. We're not always going to be quote unquote successful in meaning accomplishing what we thought we were going to try to accomplish in the way we thought we were going to accomplish it, or the way the world says we're going to accomplish it or be successful in those terms. But you're absolutely right. When we think about lifelong learning, when we think about continual development, and we think about the arc of our growth, and we frame it that way, trying something and having it not work out isn't a big deal, right? It's a failed experiment that leads to learnings that help us to be more successful in the next experiment. It's the old adage. I learned 1,000 ways to not build a light bulb. Every failed experiment leads to the next successful experiment. But that's hard. We tell ourselves that. But it's hard in the moment. Like you said, there's ego involved. We all have insecurities based on our past, our upbringing, whatever. And nobody likes to fail. And so if we can develop a growth mindset, develop, this mentality of, failure is only failure if we don't learn from something that doesn't work, and then pick ourselves back up, try again, and do something, to grow from it. Failure is only failure if we don't learn from it, right? Failure is only failure if we stop trying, if we just repeat the same stupid thing over and over again. That's failure. But if we're striving to learn and grow and experiment and those sorts of things, that's what life is all about, right? And I think most people, having this kind of a conversation like you and I are having right now, most people would agree with this, right? I don't think most people sitting here listening are thinking, well, that's dumb. I don't agree with that. But it's hard. Like in the moment when you're trying something and it doesn't work, it's hard to remember that. And it's hard to have the security, to feel like you want to continue to try the thing, whatever it is. Maybe you're trying ballroom dancing, or you're trying, diving, or you're whatever the thing, right? So how do you talk with people to help build up that resilience, to help build up that growth mindset, knowing that people tend to retreat when things don't work out?
Yeah, this is something that can only be learned by experience. I find that there are things that you can tell people and they will just absorb it and get it in and run with it. But I find that courage has to be practiced. And that's what this is. It's taking courageous steps towards exploring who you are and exploring what's inside of you, maybe that you have not allowed to come to the forefront yet. I think, this is something that is innately inside of us as children. I've,
Right,
you have
yeah.
kids, I have kids. I've never taken my children to the beach and they're like, no, mom, I'm not going to build this sandcastle because it might fail. They're like, we're going to build it. We know it, by the next morning, it's going to get washed away, like literally not going to be there anymore. However, they still build. And they build with joy and they're satisfied with the product, even knowing it's going to disappear. I fear that sometimes as adults, we get too attached to security, and a secure life is not fun. That's why we like roller coasters. That's why we like, surprise parties. If something's too safe, it loses some of its luster. And so I think we have to allow ourselves to get back to a bit of that childlike trust that, sometimes it gets washed away, but it can be rebuilt again. I find that when we hear people go through things, like we hear words like midlife crisis or now quarter life crisis and all of these different things, most of the time, the person who actually is transitioning into something new is not looking like they're in crisis. My experience has been usually they're the happiest they've ever been because they've actually tapped back into a place of freedom. And it's that freedom in life that I fear is leading to a bit of the burnout. That's kind of the synopsis between the two books. I feel like the fatigue a lot of people are experiencing is the fatigue of battling the tension of becoming, the fatigue of battling the unknowns of life that they're so hard trying to control. And if they lean a little bit more into that and they start working on building up their own courage and taking steps, that they'll actually step into a life that they're blown away by, a life that actually brings them the joy and satisfaction they are craving.
Yeah, I love that. And your last B is belonging. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, belonging in this sense is not so much trying to find the places where you fit in, where you can kind of make yourself look like everybody and everything else, but it's actually finding the places where you uniquely fit, where you complete the puzzle, where you might have some completely different ideas and ways of doing it and thought processes, but it complements what's already being said. It complements what's in the room. And so if we start looking more at the ways that we complement our communities, our businesses, the places where we show up, we allow ourselves to then be more unique and authentic and transparent because we're not trying to just fit into with everything that's already there.
Yeah. And that authenticity, I think, is so important. And I just love everything about how you frame these 3 C's and this book. I think we'd all be well served to take some time to self-reflect and to consider these aspects in our lives. Saundra, I note the time. I need to let you go here in just a minute. But before we wrap things up, I just wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, where they can find your book, and then give us the final word for today.
Yeah, thanks so much. Well, I would probably start with this. If you're someone who is exhausted, the first thing that you need to do is identify what the issue is, what actually is causing you to be fatigued. We have a free assessment at restquiz.com that lets you determine which of the 7 types of rest you're most deficient in. And then if you find that you are needing to go deeper in one of the 3 that we mentioned, the name of my book is Being Fully Known, The Joyful Satisfaction of Beholding, Becoming, and Belonging. And you can learn more about me and our services at drdaltonsmith.com. The final word for today is simply this. Your life is worth enjoying. And I know most of you are leaders, and so you have a fantastic work ethic. But if you allow yourself to actually have a fantastic rest ethic as well, you will step into a level of productivity that allows you to go further in your business and in the way that you're serving humanity.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, to get connected, find out more about what Saundra can do for you. Check out the book. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe. They can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.